Hi, this is Lori Hines with A Taste of Israel. A couple of one or two, videos ago, I started by sharing with you why I'm doing A Taste of Israel and how the nation, the people, the culture, and the food of Israel have inspired me so much that it's impacted my life tremendously. And so I wanted to continue that story today by telling you more about the incredible story of Israel through food and wine. Israel is where everything began and where everything is going to end. And in my opinion, Israel is the main stage of the world. So today's quick story is going to be about the spirituality of food. You might remember in that, I think, first or second video, I posed the thought for consideration of is food and wine spiritual? Does it have spiritual components or elements? Our meaning. And so today I thought it would be appropriate to do a quick, brief overview of the very first spring biblical festival, which is called Passover. It's also called Pesach. It's also called the Festival of Freedom. So here we go. Just in a couple of minutes, I'm going to give you a Passover 101 overview that I have learned from the Jewish people and from the Bible. And so it's incredibly rich, a rich holiday that celebrates freedom. So to start off with, here are some quick facts. There's much more about this, but I'm just going to give you a brushstroke overview. Passover is like I said, the very first spring biblical festival, and it's marked with a ritual service, a ceremonial dinner on the very first night of Passover, and during this ceremonial dinner, there's a retelling of the story of the Jewish people's exodus from slavery in Egypt to freedom. And also the story is retold at what happens to people or nations that go against or mistreat the Jewish people. The apple of God's eye. You might remember hearing about the 10 plagues, which was the judgment of God on the Egyptians because of their mistreatment. So those are just some a quick few facts. Now, specifically because I am all about the food and the wine and the thought about the spirituality of food and wine, here are some food facts about Passover. So at this ceremonial dinner, there is this main plate called a Seder plate, and I have one here that I might want to try to show you. And so this is a Seder plate, and it's part of the ceremonial dinner. And each little section here has a place where you put certain types of food that symbolize the story of the exodus from slavery to freedom. For example, they have a shank bone, haroset, which is a mixture of apples and cinnamon and honey. I think I forget what all is in it, but it's a sweet. And then there's bitter herbs. There's an egg, a boiled egg, parsley, and lettuce. Now, every one of these foods during that ceremony, there's mention and telling of what that food represents. I won't tell you what it all represents here. I'll just tell you one or two because I encourage you to try to learn more about this incredible biblical festival that has enriched my life so much. So, like, for example, the bitter herbs symbolize the bitterness of being a slave. And then the haroset, the sweet, symbolizes the sweetness of freedom. And so those are powerful. And then the parsley, I think traditionally you dip it in salty water and taste it, and it's supposed to memorialize and cause us to remember the tears of the Israelites who were enslaved and how hard that was and all that they went through. So before their freedom. So that's a Seder plate, and very exciting. And then let's see. Okay, also another food fact for Passover is there's unleavened bread that is eaten, and it's called matzah. To me, it reminds me of a large cracker. It's very flat and thin, and so they begin the first night of Passover by eating matzah, and there's a whole story behind that, but I don't have time today to go into that, but matzah. And then the other component that's really important there are 4 sips of wine, or 4 glasses of wine, depending on how much wine you want to drink, but there's 4 significant sips of wine, red wine, that symbolize symbolize four significant things about God and the story of the Exodus from Egypt. Let's see, the first one is called the Cup of Sanctification, which is sanctifying the holiday, the biblical festival of Passover, as set apart as a holy commemoration to always do this festival. And the Bible, God commands this festival to always be celebrated. And so that's one. The other one is the Cup of Plagues, to remember what happens when you go against God's people. It's the cup of God's judgment. The third cup is the cup of blessing, which is really about remembering the freedom from slavery that God gave his people. And then the fourth one is the cup of the coming Messianic kingdom, when the Messianic era is here and in full bloom, and we are in that, the world is on that that time of God's plan. I say we because really I believe that Israel is the apple of God's eye, the Jews, a very specific piece of land, a very specific people group that God chose, but it's available for all mankind. So, I feel very blessed to have been able to go to Israel and learn more about the food, the wine, all the spiritual aspects, and just the nation, the culture, everything, because it inspires the whole world. Israel inspires the whole world. So those are some quick food facts about Passover. There's more to it. The ceremonial dinner lasts, hours. It's an all-night thing, and they spend weeks prepping for this. It's like the biggest, one of the biggest festivals of the year, biblical festivals. So I just wanted to share a snippet with you. Maybe I'll have time to share more in the coming days, because we are approaching Passover in just a couple of days. But I want to leave you with this food for thought. Is it possible, or should we consider that what we eat and how we think about food, could it bring us closer to God? Maybe farther from God? Just some food for thought to consider. So that's all for today, guys. Join us again on Instagram, on Facebook, and you can email me directly at atasteofisrael@gmail.com, or you can also join us in Israel for our November 2018 Edible Bible Tour. I look forward to sharing more with you on this journey. As I am inspired, I want to share with you. I don't want to keep it to myself. It's too good. So join me next time on A Taste of Israel, where I believe that the Bible is edible and where foodies experience heaven on earth. All right, guys, till next time. See ya.